I gotta get that evened up for this other one. I've already been on for.
It's just one more route we got to track.
Right.
One other thing under the health care, why doesn't the same health care bill that we are going to be under apply to the
Members of Congress?
Members of Congress, President,
It should. It should.
anybody.
It absolutely should. Yeah, as should really every benefit that members of Congress get. I mean, it's as offensive to me that healthcare legislation wouldn't apply to members of Congress as the fact that members of Congress, their pension begins to vest after, what is it, 5 years?
That's one of my questions.
I mean, that blows my mind. Tell me the corporation in America that offers that benefit to its employees, oh, goodness.
You're getting ahead of yourself. That's one of my questions.
Okay. Do I get bonus points because I
Okay. I would like to know if they have set a limit as to how much the income is before you are put into off of Medicare to Medicaid.
In this piece of legislation?
Yes. I have not heard.
Tony, you know the answer to that? Tony knows a little about healthcare.
I don't think
Put him
they
on the
have.
spot.
I do not think they have, but I've not read that section of the bill in
Well,
detail.
you know,
I totally put you on the spot. I'm sorry there.
the lowest figure I have heard is $250,000 a year or something like that. That's the only
Right.
information I have, and I can't imagine that someone with that income in Medicaid.
Nor can I. We have a precedent of doing that in recent months. Remember this S-chip legislation that passed out health care benefits subsidized by all of us. You know, it on first appeal sounds like it's good. We're helping pay for children's health insurance. But then you look at the incomes of the parents, it just blows your mind. Six-figure incomes, and they get subsidized health insurance, which doesn't seem right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, you're in our favor of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Drilling for oil. Offshore, is that an okay? And how about right here in our own United States?
Okay. Let me talk a bit about, we'll talk more maybe later about energy, but the specific question was about drilling for oil here. Yes, we should look to every potential domestic source of petroleum, with oil and natural gas here. Look, we're trying to wean ourselves off of foreign oil, and it's simplistic to say that we can become energy independent in the very near term. We can't. We continue to consume more and more and more. But we do need to make sure that oil and natural gas remain accessible and affordable to us, because our entire economy depends upon affordable energy sources. And we also don't want ourselves to be vulnerable to the Middle East and other trouble spots around the world where you tend to find a lot of these petroleum resources. So if they shut off the spigot in Russia or in Saudi Arabia or Nigeria or in Mexico as examples, why not crank it up here in the United States of America, off either continental shelf, down in the Gulf of Mexico, out at the Powder River Basin where they have natural gas in the Rockies. There's great resources to be tapped here. Or in Alaska, God forbid.
And think of how many people would be put back to work
There would be
if we would do that. That would help our economy.
there would be jobs in that.
Yes. Okay.
Just, may I make a comment? There was a thing on the news not too long ago that China is drilling a rig, has a drilling rig 60 miles off the coast of Florida.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah, that's
And
right.
there's nothing we can do about it because that's international water.
That's right.
Just doesn't seem right.
And another thing, would Wall Street still control the price of a gallon of gas if we do that? Because right now, every time Wall Street goes up, you go and get it front and it's high.
Yeah, I actually tend to think Wall Street is usually, yeah, they're speculating. They're betting on the price. They're not fixing the price so much as responding to where they think the price is going to
It
go.
just seems very coincidental. If it goes up on Wall Street, then we have a real surge.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely speculators out there. There's no question. But there's somebody on the other side of that speculation. So we always need to remember that. There's somebody who's willing to take the other bet.
That same thing applies to everything in our economy. I mean, it's the price of sugar or the price of flour. There's somebody out there speculating on it.
There is.
You know, and
Yeah.
you can't tie everybody's hands.
No, you can't tie everybody's hands. What we can do, though, is gets back to what the lady was asking about. We can make sure that the fundamentals are stable. And here are the fundamentals: supply and demand. We need to make sure there's adequate supply of all the energy we need. And when it comes to oil, just unrefined oil is not very helpful to us. We also need to have refineries out there that can turn this oil into usable products, like gasoline. So we need to look into building more refineries here in the United States of America. Oftentimes when the price of gas goes up, for example, that's because there's enough supply out there. It just hadn't been refined. There's bottlenecks. So that's another area where we need to ensure that we get through that permitting process. And have enough.
We lost another refinery just the other day. One blew up in, I think it was in Washington, the state of Washington.
Okay.
But like the lady said right here, she couldn't afford to come to town to make frivolous trips. And there's a lot of people were driving less. If the gas is, what, 50 cents a gallon higher this year?
Yeah.
And
You know, instead of come, you don't do a whole lot of running around.
I'd have to drive 21 miles to make a trip in and out, and that runs all the medicine.
but your gasoline's a lot higher this year than it
Sure
was.
is.
Okay. My next one was the salary and retirement benefits
Okay.
being in that category. The stimulus bills.
Okay. I think you're talking about what I like.
Do you think they've done us any good and how much?
No, I think they're an absolute mess.
I think they are too.
Let's talk about the stimulus package, the stimulus bill. It's going to save or create 4 million jobs. That was, I think, the original estimate. Then they kept downgrading that. No, it's only going to, we said 3.5 million. No, we said 3 million. Save or create 4 million jobs. At the cost, if you factor in interest payments of $1 trillion. You do the math, I think that's about $250,000 per job. Well, the median income in this country is about $50,000. So, at first blush, we know it's a horrible piece of legislation. Big old waste. It would have been a lot cheaper to cut checks, $50,000 checks to people who are out of work. They would have appreciated it a lot more, I guarantee. But instead, we rolled out every pork barrel project, every pet initiative that Congress has been trying to ram through for the last decade or so, and bundled it into a bill and called it a jobs bill. And really the only thing that we are stimulating is debt to our children and grandchildren, because we borrowed all that money. And we borrowed it from our bankers, like China, like Saudi Arabia, like Japan. And get this, before we pass that legislation, does anyone know who Hillary Clinton went and visited with to ask their permission? Yeah, the finance minister of China. Now, I was a little bit cavalier when I said ask their permission. That's probably not how the conversation went, but I can tell you there's a reason she went to China and visited with the finance minister. We're losing sovereignty in this country. The more we depend on other countries to lend us money to fund our current expenses, the more we lose our ability to control our own affairs. Now, some of you may have had times, maybe it's right now, where you got a little overextended, and whoever you owed money to, you felt like they were in control of your life. We may find ourselves in that position right now on a global stage, and so we need to solve that. And that gets into the whole spending issues.
My next question was in regards to the Constitution, and I think you handled that pretty good.
Yeah, I take the Constitution very seriously. It's something I've studied formally in law school. It's something I deal with daily. I'm always
Too many
citing it,
are not.
reading, yeah. So too many don't read the Constitution.